Hey guys, it's Colin Stevens, and I'm really excited because we are working on a project of starting a new podcast that is just going to be the Colin Stevens Podcast. And for some of you that know me, may know that I don't mind sharing my ideas or my opinions, or I don't mind talking a little bit. So just to give you a little bit of a flavor of what this is going to be, it's just going to be things that I believe in, and it's going to be about motivation and inspiration for us to be better people, better in our careers, better with our relationships, just better altogether. So that's the hope. And I'm hoping that you tune in. I hope that you subscribe to the channel on YouTube. I hope that you get something from this, that you can look forward to it and grow from it. So today we're going to get into belief, and the fact that belief is what drives achievement and what drives progress. The stories that I'm going to share, they're personal stories, and at times I'm going to pull from stories that are going on with the culture right now, but these are close to home when it comes to the deal of belief. So some of you guys know my mom and dad, awesome people, two really, really awesome people, grew up in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And then my dad continued to pursue football, which took him to the great state of Kentucky, where he played at Louisville. Shout out to the Cardinals, who put Pops in the Hall of Fame there, and he had a great 2 years there under Lee Corso. But my mom and my dad got married in 1972, I believe. And my dad is black, and my mom is white, and they got married in a time where black and white people did not get married. Like, there was not this interracial, how it is today. It's much more of a melting pot. And they got married in a time where that was not really accepted. And so the really interesting thing to me is, I remember my parents told me this later on, when not when I was a kid, because I probably wouldn't have understood it, but they said, they had friends, or probably not close friends, but they had people ask them, well, where are your kids going to fit in? Where would they go to school? Because the reality is there was still segregation. There were still black schools and white schools. Like, totally separate, very much not like it is today. And so when they decided to get married and have kids, they basically said, our kids are going to fit in wherever they fit in. You see, this is also a mindset for my dad. My dad was one of 4 ninth graders integrated into an all-white high school. So my dad was one of 4 black students integrated into an all-white high school. Back in the Stone Ages, or back in 1960 something. And so he kind of had this mindset of that color didn't matter so much. And, he wanted to play football, and the high school that he was going to offered football. So he went to this school of where he was very, very much the minority, and very, very, very much the outcast to begin with. But for any of you who know my dad, he's got a dynamic personality, and he is an awesome dude. And he just made friends, and he did that all throughout his life, regardless of color. And I learned a lot from him in that regard. But what I'm saying is that there was so much doubt around interracial marriage at that time, but my mom and dad cared so much about each other, and they had this belief that they could make a special family out of their love and their care for each other, regardless of what everybody else was saying. So if they had listened to what everybody else was saying, number one, they may not have gotten married, but throughout the challenges of their marriage, they wouldn't have stuck it out. The ups and downs that all marriages go through, all relationships go through, they wouldn't have stuck it out. So their belief is what drove them to have progress in their relationship and in our family. And I know that's very much part of the pride of who they are, is their 3 kids that they have, and their grandkids, and all of that. And that belief was so powerful. And so I learned so much from that. Like, whether I chose to or really understood that I was learning that as a kid, but I I really took away a lot from that, and it impacted me as a young athlete. So as I was coming out of high school, I was still 5'0", and I loved basketball. Good grief, I loved basketball. I don't know why I didn't pick a sport of where size didn't matter so much. But man, like I was always very short. I was always the smallest player on the court, and I loved it. And I wanted to play in college, and I was not getting recruited at all, but I still wanted to play. I thought I could play at the Division I level, even though I wasn't getting any recruitment from the Division I level, very little recruitment from the Division II level, and just some Division III offers. So, but I believed I could play at a high level. Now, see, this is where the belief comes in and is so important, is because I went to Towson University, which was about 20 minutes from my house in just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And I went and I tried out for the team. I was so sure that I could make the team. I mean, they were bad. Like I don't know where they are right now. I haven't been keeping up with them, but they were bad then. And I was sure that they needed some help at the point guard. I was most valuable player in my county, not in the city of Baltimore. That was, like the first team All Metro was led by Carmelo Anthony at that time. I was on second team All Metro, which is pretty cool accolades back then. Carmelo and I took a little bit of a different path in terms of our basketball careers, but I was in the mix with some really, really good players, and I was sure that Towson University could use some help. I got one tryout there. I enrolled in school. I got one tryout, and they called me, an assistant coach called me back and just said, "Hey, good luck. Looks like you might be able to run a team pretty well, but we don't need you." And I was like, that was the first time that I had been cut from a team maybe ever. And so I played intramurals that year, and I played pickup with some pros and got into some men's leagues in that winter, but I was not playing for a scholastic team, and it rocked me because I didn't really understand why nobody was picking me up. And but I still believed I could play, even though I wasn't getting any recruitment at Division I level. I just got cut from a Division I team. I still thought that I could play at that level. So some naivety, a lot of belief. And so what also occurred along with that is that I believed that I would be able to go play even when there was a Division III coach who was recruiting me, and we developed a great relationship, and he's like, "Hey, you should come and play for me." And I was like, "Hey, I think I can play at a higher level than you." And I'm sure he was like, "Bro, what are you talking about, kid? Like, you're not getting nobody's interested in you at that level." But we developed a great relationship. Some of you guys know that I run a youth academy here called Manzer Basketball Academy, and Dave Manzer was that guy who was recruiting me. He was a coach at Messiah College, and he was an awesome dude. He loved God, loved his family, loved hoops. He was just he was awesome, and he and I developed a great relationship. And he, instead of just being so focused on getting me to come to his school, he helped me get in touch with a coach at Coastal Carolina University, who was then Pete Strickland. And I got in touch with Coach Strickland. He's like, "Look, I hope that you like the school, because if you don't make the team, then you're just going to be a regular student." So this was 8 hours away from home. I had never heard what a Coastal Carolina Chanticleer was. I hear it's a cunning rooster, a Chanticleer, right? So I go down to school, and I make the team, and I was the 17th man on the team. Like, I was the last guy. A lot of coaches don't keep walk-ons. This team, this coach, he kept walk-ons, and it was really, really cool. I was on the team. Like, I didn't care that I was, like, the first couple of weeks of practice, like, I wasn't on the court hardly at all. I had a practice jersey, but I was, like, mopping up sweat. I was getting water for the guys that were sweating, because it wasn't my sweat that I was mopping up. But I was on the team, and it was like, Finally, I at least got to where I thought I could get to. But then in the preseason, there's our starting point guard got hurt in the preseason. Like, knee injury ended his season. 6 games, so that bumped me up to like second string point guard. Now I'm starting to get some minutes in practice, figuring I'm still not going to play very much. And then 6 games into the season, our new starting point guard gets hurt. So he was the second string guy, but now he's hurt. So that bumps me up from third string point guard, no minutes, hardly any minutes in practice, to starting 20 games my freshman year. My redshirt freshman year, because I got cut from Towson, right? So what I'm saying is that everybody was saying, no, you can't do it. Like, even the coaches were saying, we don't need you. Like, you're not good enough, or we just don't need what you have to offer as a player. But the belief that I had was a little bit, it didn't make sense. Like, even as I look back on it now, like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, I'm a coach now, I'm a trainer, I do all kinds of basketball stuff, right? And I could totally see how I wasn't recruited at the Division I level. But this belief that I had drove me towards that achievement and that progress. I wound up earning a scholarship at Coastal Carolina. Thank you, Coach Strickland. If you are listening to this, I will forever be indebted to you for giving me a chance. And finished up my career there pretty well. But the belief part is so powerful. And like, without belief, we just can't achieve anything great. Like, and what I want to, the message that I want to push off to everybody is the fact that that not everybody has to be on board with your belief. Like, there might have been 3 people that believed in me versus the 1,000 that didn't. And it's funny though, because then when I started playing for Coastal, then all those people that said like I wasn't good enough to play at that level were, oh yeah, I remember Colin back in high school. He was a good player. Then they hop on board with you. But that belief, it has to be a little bit off. Like, it can't, like, our level of belief, if we're going to do something special, it has to be above what everybody else thinks it ought to be. It has to be, we have to seem a little bit crazy, or else we don't achieve anything special. We'll just be status quo. We'll just be mediocre in regards to what everybody else expects out of us. So your belief is what will drive your achievement, your progress in your relationships, in your career, in your athletics, in your fitness, in your health. I mean, it is everything. And you have to plug into something that will also push your belief, because we're going to have doubts. You don't think I doubted when I got cut from Towson University if I was good enough to play? Look, Towson went they didn't win a game for like 2 seasons after I got cut from there. Like, they were really bad. You don't think that I doubted that I couldn't play at the Division I level? I mean, of course, but when our belief is just strong enough or naive enough, then it takes over and it keeps pushing us forward. And so I encourage you that if you feel like you're a little bit crazy with your belief in yourself or in your kids or in your dreams or whatever it is about, what your desire for achievement or progress is, it's not even just okay that it's a little crazy. It has to be if you're going to do anything special. I know that there's times where my parents doubted, how difficult it was going to be for them in their relationship, being an interracial couple, before that was a common thing in our country. And their belief in family and love is what pushed them over those humps of the difficult times. And so, yeah, I just challenge you, don't give up belief. Like, because everybody else says that it won't work, don't give up, don't give in, keep pushing. It's good to be a little bit naive. It's good to not think the way that everybody else thinks. And so I hope this, as our first our first podcast here, our first session. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the bell ringing here as we're stationed out of school today. It is the hurricane may be on the way, so we had to switch offices today. But yeah, my hope is that all of us look in the mirror, we push ourselves in our beliefs, we stick to them, we dig in, and we make something happen that is extraordinary. All right, this is Colin Stevens, the first episode of the Colin Stevens Podcast. Live in truth.